Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome to another episode of the Cardone Solutions Podcast. I'm your host of the Cardone Solutions Podcast. My name is David Bradley, training facilitator and coach with Grant Cardone, bringing you weekly sales solutions, sales tips, sales strategies, and a couple attitude adjustments thrown in there for good measure directly from the 10X rule with Grant Cardone. 80% of what we do here, 100% free. So, the purpose of the podcast is to make sure the free stuff we're putting down, you are picking up and you're plugging it into your sales, your business, and your life. So thank you in advance. Thank you so much for hitting that subscribe button. And if you're getting something out of the podcast, please make sure you're sharing this out into the cyberspace so that other folks like you can benefit from it too. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to turn cold calls into cold, hard cash. That's right. Cold calls equal cold, hard cash. But before we get into that, let's have a quick word from today's sponsor. Today's episode of the Cardone Solutions Podcast is brought to you by Grant Cardone's Cardone University Coaching Program. Speaking of cold calls, here's what we know at this point. 84% of managers too busy to train and develop the team the way they wish they could. Most managers wound up in management simply because they could produce, not because they were ever taught how to train people or and do it in a way that actually motivates somebody or transfers skill, right? And then last but not least, there's an 88% improvement in production and productivity when coaching and training gets involved. So this is where we come in. Enter the Cardone University Coaching Program, where we become a virtual extension of your management team. Here's what you get. Access to Cardone University, of course. 30 plus managed learning courses facilitated by a certified Cardone coach. Our process increases engagement and accountability. And you get to have us at a fraction of what it would cost to bring somebody in-house to do all this, okay? We're going to work with you to increase sales volume and profitability while reducing extraneous costs such as turnover and helping you expand market share. So for a complimentary process analysis and training analysis, visit cardonesolutions.com/coaching. That's cardonesolutions.com/coaching. cardonesolutions.com/coaching. Now, on with the show. So yeah, we're going to talk about how to turn cold calls into cold, hard cash. So here's the first thing we should just handle or address or, confront. How many times has someone told you or posted on social media that cold calling is dead? Have you ever seen that ad, right? Cold calling is dead. Never cold call again. And for a lot of folks, you're like, I'm interested. But what if it turned out that the exact opposite is true? What if it turned out that the cold call is the entry point? It's the gateway. It is the thing that equals the cold, the hard, the cash. I'm going to tell you why in a second. But imagine being able to make just one phone call and then making more money in that call than some people are going to make all month or all year. I mean, he's closed some pretty big deals on a cold call. So if you're finally ready, you're actually okay, how do I make more money? If you're at a place to where you're legitimately interested in learning ways to make more money, then pay attention. And keep in mind, this whole thing may sound scary, but stay with me and hear me out. You have to learn how to sell things over the phone, regardless of the industry you're in. You have to learn how to sell on the phone, period. And if you have a hard time imagining you being a phone salesperson, then you can stop that now. Grant used to not be able to imagine having his own jet, yet he made that happen. So you can start imagining being a phone salesperson now, and then we'll get to the jet thing later. So Grant Cardone, he's put in over 30 plus years of hard work into all areas of sales, including the phone. This way you don't have to learn the ropes. You don't have to learn from experience. You get to learn from his, which takes a whole lot of time out of this learning curve. So for example, we have a program called Master the Cold Call inside Cardone University. We just had a client use this thing to shut down a $16,000 deal. So what we want to do with Cardone U and with part of the coaching program I mentioned earlier, is literally show you how to succeed on the phone, where you'll have access to scripts, how to deal with objections, how to role play making calls, like everything. So here's a question. Here's your first action idea. Okay, get a partner. Practice getting hung up on. Yeah, you heard me right. Practice getting hung up on. Because one of the things that people dread about making the cold call is getting hung up on. Somebody cussing you out, saying something inappropriate, and then hanging up on you. Yeah, kid, we're not interested. Don't ever freaking call me here again. And they hang up on you. Have you ever practiced that? Because when it happens in real life, if you're not practiced, it hurts. But if you've practiced it, told you I'm not interested. Told you I'm not interested. Told you, stop calling me. Practice hanging up on each other. Go grab a partner. Do it. Have fun with it. That way when it happens for real, it don't hurt so bad. So part of our phone training inside Cardone University is literally about how to make the cold call, how to master the cold call, how to effectively deliver an opening pitch. Would you like to double your close rate on the phone? Would you like to know the secret for getting past the gatekeeper every single time? How are you handling objections over the phone right now? Did you know that there's a formula, a mathematical formula that you can plug in and use to make sure you hit your income targets strictly from phone sales? Do you know a series of questions specifically designed to help you land an appointment? So as we have all of that inside our cold call training. So why is it that cold calling is not dead? Okay, I promised I'd talk about that. The number one reason cold calling isn't dead is everyone else thinks it is. Everyone else thinks it's dead. And they think that way because they don't have what? The skill. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to do it. And that's your competition. They have a lack of confidence in making the cold call. So you know what that is? That's a big fat opportunity with your name on it. That's a huge opportunity for you to go snag yourself market share. So in Grant's book, If You're Not First, You're Last, he teaches the things that you must do to beat your competition, which is, first of all, isolate and identify what they aren't willing to do. And once you recognize what that is, in this case, cold calling, when you do it, it positions you to have a more dominant position in your marketplace. Whew. So here's the question. If you were able to snag a 30% increase in sales volume, do you have the inventory right now or the support staff to handle that? Now, if you don't sell product, if you sell a service, what would an extra 30% of new business be like? Could you handle that? And if you did that in the next 7 days, 14 days actually, my bad, I give you 14. If you did that in the next 14 days, could you handle that? Because what I want to give you right now is 2 weeks free access on Cardone University. We've got a coaching program. We're doing a free process analysis and training analysis. Training process analysis. Say that fast 3 times. That's happening over at cardonesolutions.com/coaching. You just got to go sign up for that, especially if you're a manager and you got a sales organization. But if you don't have a sales team, if you're part of one and your team is not already on Cardone University and you need help with your cold calling, I got 2 weeks free for you. And at the end of the 2 weeks, you're going to know and you'll have experienced what great sales teams are doing every single day and how we get our clients a sustainable 30% increase in a very, very short period of time. So all I'm going to need from you to do that is your time and your full attention in front of a computer for about 18 minutes a day. So could you go for 14 days in a row studying our cold calling content for 20 minutes a day, 18, 20 minutes a day, okay? If you can, then all you have to do is head on over to cardonesolutions.com/Cardone free. cardonesolutions.com/Cardone free. And this has been another episode of the Cardone Solutions Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Hey, so how do you start turning cold calls into cold hard cash? Number one, you start practicing getting yourself hung up on. Second thing I want you to do is actually start debriefing your calls. Make sure you got an elevator pitch that is tight, tight, tight. You don't have to think about it. You just deliver it. The reason for the call is boom. Okay? Be prepared to practice handling objections. Know what you're going to say before you get on the call. Doesn't mean you shouldn't make the call, but if you know what you're going to say, do it. Make sure you practice, make sure you've drilled, make sure you've role-played, have some experience getting hung up on, and then go out there and attack the marketplace. And if you're not already on Cardone U, make sure you do that over at cardonesolutions.com/Cardone U free. And be great. Nothing else pays. See you soon.